It is near midnight on May 14, 1918. Deep in the Argonne Forest, Henry Johnson and Needham Roberts sit silently on sentry duty at Outpost 20. Suddenly, the darkness is broken by the sharp snap of heavy metal wire cutters. Out of the brush, 30 German soldiers rush their position. Shrapnel rips through the outpost, severely wounding Roberts. Unable to stand, he drags himself through the dirt and begins feeding grenades up to Johnson to hurl at the advancing line. When the grenades run out, Johnson fires his rifle until the weapon jams. Trapped in the claustrophobic mud of the trench, he absorbs enemy fire to his head, his hand, and his side, eventually swinging his broken rifle like a club. Bleeding heavily and completely out of ammunition, Johnson watches the raiding party attempt to drag Roberts away. He unsheaths his 14-inch bolo knife and dives directly into the mass of soldiers. The brutal melee lasts for a full hour. By the time reinforcements arrive, 4 enemy soldiers are dead, and Johnson has inflicted injuries on roughly 24 more, earning him the battlefield moniker Black Death. He saved his fellow soldier and held the line against impossible odds. Yet the nation he fought for would refuse to award him its highest honor for another 97 years. Johnson was a private in the 369th Infantry Regiment, better known as the Harlem Hellfighters. When you look at this long line of black soldiers, you are looking at men the segregated United States military flatly refused to let fight alongside white troops. General John J. Pershing, the commander of the American Expeditionary Forces, found an administrative workaround. He offloaded the regiment entirely to the French Army's 161st Division, avoiding the issue of domestic racial integration in his own trenches. The French military lacked these specific racial policies. Desperate for capable reinforcements, they immediately supplied the Hellfighters with French helmets, rifles, and rations, and sent them directly to the front. After the raid at Outpost 20, France recognized Johnson's actions immediately. This is the Croix de Guerre, one of the highest military decorations in the French Republic, which they pinned on him shortly after the battle. The United States offered no equivalent high-tier honor. This discrepancy was by design. It was the result of a bifurcated military system, where a foreign ally celebrated a man his own government actively sought to marginalize. When the war ended, Johnson returned to New York. He marched near the front of a massive victory parade, cheered on by immense crowds lining up and down the avenues. But the celebration came with strict conditions. The Harlem Hellfighters were kept entirely segregated, forbidden from parading alongside the white units returning from the exact same war. Soon, newspapers began to carefully edit his story. Editors systematically omitted his race or scrubbed the specific details of his heroics to appease the prejudices of a 1920s readership. Without proper public recognition, his life slipped rapidly into obscurity. He was left to manage severe, crippling combat injuries with only minimal disability payments from the U.S. government. The physical and financial toll eventually caught up with him. On July 1, 1929, Henry Johnson passed away from myocarditis. He was 36 years old. He had survived the artillery and bayonets of the Argonne Forest, only to be erased by the systemic prejudice of his own country's historical record. It took decades of relentless work by historians and advocates digging through military archives to force a correction. The first step came in 1996, when Johnson was posthumously awarded the Purple Heart for his battlefield wounds. But the ultimate recognition required nearly 2 more decades. In 2015, President Barack Obama officially awarded Henry Johnson the Medal of Honor. Take a close look at this specific award. The Medal of Honor serves as the official ink a nation uses to write a soldier's actions permanently into its historical record. The 97-year delay in awarding it carried a heavy cost. It robbed nearly a century of Americans of the chance to know, celebrate, and look up to a hero who earned his place in their history books. Our history is only as complete as the stories we actively choose to preserve. Share this video to ensure Henry Johnson's name is never forgotten again, and subscribe to this channel to help us uncover more of history's hidden truths.